Hello everyone, this is Nimish and today we're going to review the movie Jomonte Suvisheshangal, which is Dulquer Salman's first movie of 2017. Having just introduced the movie like that, I directly want to get into one of the most important points and takeaways of this movie for me is that for me it is not a Dulquer Salman movie, it is a Mukesh movie. I think that this whole movie is kind of centered around Mukesh, his character, his family, his kind of success, failure, his kind of relation with his son, his kind of relation from with his other family members, and all of that. In fact, throughout the movie, the most interesting portions were when he was on screen. This is my first full-length Mukesh movie that I have watched, and so it was really interesting to watch him act because he's very good, especially in some scenes where it's very easy to kind of say that it's an ordinary scene or what kind of act. There's no acting in this scene, but those scenes were the best, and that's where I understand the power of an actor, where he can completely change his body language and personality, and even in a scene where there's no acting as such required or is non-traditional or is mostly looked or just basically ignored because it's a kind of those intermediate scenes, just to add to important scenes. In those scenes he shined. One example of that, I'm directly going to speak about Mukesh and then go speak about the whole movie, because this is what is my major takeaway from this, because it's his first film that I've watched. One of the most important scenes that impressed me was when he is sitting and drinking and smoking with two of his friends, one being Innocent, and Innocent is telling him, we made this plan to kind of get this girl for him, and we've kind of made them meet at the store and stuff like that, and did you hear about that? And he's just sitting like this, complete, though, just the way he sits and speaks and drinks, and like it's so crazy. Like he's just sitting and he's like, oh yeah, I heard about that, and he's very casual, and he's just drinking, like, oh yeah, I heard about that, is it true? And he's asking these questions, and then he speaks about like how he's achieved some things, and he speaks about Jomon and things like that. And that scene was so powerful. Like his complete body language was just that of a guy who's achieved so much, and he's sitting and he's just enjoying his drink, and he's achieved so much. His kids have grown up, everyone is happy, there's a happy function, and he's very satisfied. And that body language that he gave in that scene was unbeatable. Like it's very difficult. I think only Mammootty can give that kind of body language, because Mammootty has that thing in him. But to see Mukesh, who's otherwise in the rest of the movie very simple, very kind of humble in the rest of the movie, in some scenes like this, he was really shining as the kind of powerful, rich, satisfied, happy family head and business head who's basically very content with what he has. So these kind of scenes really made the day for me, and all the other scenes where he was in was the most interesting part of this movie. I felt that whenever Dulquer Salman scene came, it was not really much interesting. It was very kind of stereotypical, and of course there are the direct comparisons to Jacob in Swargarajam. In fact, it won't be wrong to call this the JS series, with where the father is super rich, something goes wrong, and the son comes and takes over. We can call it the JS series with Jacob in Swargarajam, which I still haven't reviewed. I should review that, with Nivin Pauly, and now Jomonte Suvisheshangal. Too much of a coincidence, but in this JS series, the son part of the second part here in Jomonte wasn't very impressive. It was just like, it's fine. I mean, we know he's a mess and we know he gets serious, and all of that was very typical. There wasn't much scope for him to really deliver any kind of performance for Dulquer Salman, but in some scenes, some emotional scenes, he was good. And as Nasiruddin Shah says, the easiest thing for an actor to do is cry and get emotional. And so that's why I get impressed by such performances, which are much more difficult and much more basically not observed in the true sense. People usually love watching movies where actors cry or actors make us cry, or there's a heavy emotion involved, and you say like, this guy acts so well. Of course they do act well, but I like movies like this. If you speak about Mohanlal, I like movies like Grandmaster, which may be a commercial movie, but in that his role had nothing as compared to like Tanmatra or Devasuram. His role had nothing, but he still had to deliver an amazing performance, like a detective investigating with his eyes, his thinking. I love those kind of performances. So that's why I like Mukesh's performances in this movie, because really it was so natural and it was so kind of unexpected. Secondly, I think that this movie overall should have been promoted equally, including the trailer and everything, to include both Dulquer and Mukesh, because maybe Mukesh doesn't have so many fans. He does. He had the greatest films, but he's not as powerful as Mohanlal and Mammootty today. So maybe if they market it like that, they might not have got the audience. But nevertheless, I feel that he had a very, very important and most important role to play in this movie, and his scenes were the best. I also liked Aishwarya Rajesh, who's there in the second half. I think she was fantastic, and that kind of relationship and character development was handled with very, very much care, very sensitively. And I love the portrayal of that kind of story with Dulquer Salman and how it ends up in the end, what happens and everything like that. But overall, this movie as a whole, story wise, really didn't have much to offer. It was really like a sequel to Jacob Itteswar Garajam, or like that whole kind of same thing happening again. And it was very predictable, and it was just going and going on, and it just like kind of, I don't know, it just lost me. But I was just there because of Mukesh, because whenever it came on screen, things just got interesting. And this is just my frank opinion. I obviously know that this movie is a hit, and I obviously like Dulquer Salman, and I wanted to really enjoy this movie. But while watching the movie, especially in the second half, I started feeling that his scenes are literally boring me, and Mukesh's scenes are much, much more interesting. And that's when I realized the power of a good performer, a good performance, when I started observing these smaller performance and nuances of Mukesh. I'm glad I watched it, because I got to know the talent and power of Mukesh, which all of you have been telling me about. And his older movies and comedies, I guess, have become great hits and have been remade in Hindi. And I think The Godfather is one movie which I really need to watch, because I think it was remade as Halkar and it was a huge hit, and I think the longest running movie in the Malayalam film industry. So I'm looking forward to that. So with every movie, I unlock this new component of the Malayalam film industry, either a new actor or a new genre or a new kind of director or something like that, and it's very interesting. I'm going with 2 stars for Jomonte, because it could have been way better than it actually is. So according to my rating scale, 2 stars is not like, as I always say, but many people are new here. I have a rating scale video, but many people who are new might think that 2 stars is a crap movie, but 2 stars is not crap. I don't call any movie crap. I just say that 2 stars means a movie could have been much better than it is, and it had that potential. It could have been written in a much better way and made much more engaging, a little different than kind of Jacob and Tame. Maybe some more twists and turns here and there would have been nice. So I'm going with 2 stars for Jomonte. I hope you like this review. Like, comment, share, subscribe, and take care.